Today's format is going to be a little different as I'm interviewing a finance expert and multipreneur on how to ask for a raise and all things to consider when doing so. Stay till the very end to know all the juicy details on the exact steps to ask for a raise and actually get it. Just a little introduction, this is Andrew Dixon, biomedical scientist of 13 plus years, real estate investor, and he's crazy good at saving money, has studied for years how to invest, and is putting it into action with his real estate property business. Aside from that, he's worked in multiple labs and hospitals around the world, brought a hospital with him all over the globe, and literally saved children who were casualties of war, and he saves babies and adults in a hospital now. A very clever guy, though I might be biased because he's also my husband. This is Andrew Dixon. I'd like you to introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, work experience, side hustle beginnings, entrepreneurial life, and goals as a business owner.
From England originally, now living in LA. My work experience, so I did 10 years in the British military. Now I'm working at a hospital over in LA. My side hustle started doing stocks and investing, then moved into real estate, rental properties, things like that. Eventually I want to go full-time, but right now it's full-time employee, part-time business. So I want to replace my income completely. I want to be able to quit my job if I have to, but I want to have that freedom that I've got another source of income if I need it. A lot of it comes down to what position you're in. If you're an employee, corporate structure, there's often a rate. Doesn't matter how good you are, your manager cannot go above that rate. So that's going to involve a discussion with HR. If you're really, really good and the company's making a lot of money, then you have to kind of negotiate as something called an intrapreneur. An intrapreneur is you're working as an entrepreneur but within a business. So you don't own the business, but you're working independently. But that's a whole different discussion. But if you're just working at a job, you need to do your research. You need to find out what that rate is. If you go in there and you don't know what the rate is and you're asking for another 10% and you're already at the top of the rate, you're not going to get it. But if you're at the bottom of the rate and you're doing well, then there's a lot of room for improvement. First thing, find out what your rate is. And the second thing is make sure you're a good employee. If you go in there and your boss is weighing up whether he's going to fire you, he's not going to give you a raise. But if he's wanting to keep you and he doesn't want to lose you, then you've got a lot of leverage. Make sure you're good at your job, find out the market rate for what's going on. Self-awareness, you've just got to go in there and you've got to be humble, really. In my experience, the people who go in and ask their boss and say, I'm going to leave if you don't give me more money, the manager knows that you're leaving anyway. Whether he gives you the money or not. You've already decided. Most people don't leave a job because of the money. They leave a job for management reasons or they've got a promotion elsewhere. Go in and say, I do a good job. This is what I do. This is what I do compared to other people. And I think that I should be valued towards the top of that. However, having said that, I like working here and I want to work with you on this. I'm very much a negotiator where I don't set an ultimatum. If you set an ultimatum and your boss calls you on it, then you've just lost your job.
I feel like you kind of back yourself into a corner when you give an ultimatum because you're giving them these straight options instead of leaving it open. What are some negotiation tactics you have?
I think the best one is just to go in there and you need to list what you've done. So a really good practice is don't do this before your annual review, just before. You need to do it, I'd say, at the end of every month. Keep a Word document on your computer, and every month, at the end of the month, just write down what you did. It's got to be above and beyond what you're getting paid for already. So if you do an extra project, you write that down. And then when it comes to your annual review and your boss says, how do you think you've performed this year? You have your bit of paper, you print it out and you say, over the year I did this, and this. I did these projects. I increased efficiency. I saved us money this way. I worked well in this team. I managed this. Once you've got that, then that's the biggest part of the negotiation, because you're getting your boss to agree that you're good. Once he knows that you're good, he's going to fight for you. A lot of places, the rate, the increase, the raise is kind of automatic, and your boss will already have a number. Now, there are certain tactics that you can do to make him go to the top of that level. Or her. I'm talking about my personal experience. If you bargain too hard, there's a payoff. You don't want to alienate the people you work with. I mean, let's face it, if you're in the corporate world, the difference between a great raise and a good raise is maybe 3 to 6%, which isn't going to have that big a difference on your pay overall. If money is that big a deal for you, then I would look elsewhere. It's been statistically shown that the best way to get a raise is to move company. When you move a lot, that's when you get the raise. So if money is all that bothers you, then do that. But if you just want to make sure that you're not being shortchanged by your boss, you just need to go in and say what you're doing well and just be firm and say what you want. And if it's unreasonable, then ask what they can do. This is a scenario I would do, and it goes against a lot of negotiating tactics, but because you've built a relationship with your boss already, I think it works better. Go in and I say I've done ABC, my performance is good. However, I really like working here, but I feel the pay is not commensurate with my colleagues who are doing the equivalent to what I'm doing. How about I I take $5 an hour extra, or whatever your rate is, you work it out. And then if your boss says, well, actually, I can only do $2 an hour extra, you say, well, is this open to negotiation? You know, I really want to work here, but I've got to think about my family, I've got to think about my home life. You'll know if your boss can give you the extra money or not. You can just tell. If you've got a good boss, he'll say, well, this is what HR have told me I can do, I can have a word with them. And sometimes there's other ways around getting the raise. So you might not get the immediate pay, you might not get the number that you want, but you might be able to say, well, how about we do reimbursement for tuition, or how about you give me more flexible time? So it's not necessarily a monetary value that you get as a raise, it can also be an improvement in your work life.
It sounds a lot like pitching yourself, where you're gathering all the value that you do offer and contribute to whatever it is the business. You're kind of supplementing that by letting them know what you are worth, and then discovering your worth in the beginning is more important, because even if your boss doesn't give you this raise, you can go somewhere else and pitch yourself to another place that could see your value.
If you go to a new job, you may have been headhunted, you may have been recommended, which gives you a better lead going in. But most of the time you've submitted a resume, you've gone for an interview, and they like you. Depending on how big the organization is, the manager who's hiring you may have a hard cap that they can go to. Within that range, it might be up to them. I find that the best thing to do when you're going for a new job interview is to be upfront, to say, look, I'm leaving a current job, or these are my expectations moving into this job. I would like to work with you. You look like a great company. However, being realistic, I've got bills to pay, I've got commitments that I've got to keep, and so this is my figure, this is what I want. You pick that number based on market research, and you need to pick it towards the top end of what you want. If you want, say, $40 an hour, and you ask for $40 an hour, and they negotiate down, then you're going to have trouble getting it back to 40. You want 40, but you know that the market range goes up to 42, then ask for the top of the range if you think you're worth it. Good thing to do is if your manager says, look, absolutely not, we can't go that way, there's no room for negotiation, then what you can do is you can say to them, okay, well, if I can work with you at the lower rate, possible to have a 6-month review. I'm confident in my ability, so if you have a look at my work after 6 months and we agree beforehand, maybe we can negotiate that raise. But what you want to do is say to the manager, what is it that you want me to do that would earn that raise, and get it in writing from the manager beforehand. Over the 6 months, you've got to do it. If you're not performing, you're not going to get the raise. But assuming you are, well, that's a good tactic. You can say, rather than have an annual review, can we bring it forward to 6 months, renegotiate my salary at that point. And that works well if it's a position where they require experience and they're not sure that you necessarily have that experience. Most corporations are going to do an annual review, and this depends on where you're going to work. Okay, so service-based entrepreneur, it's going to be roughly the same thing. If you're providing a service to someone and you ask for a raise after 2 weeks, then they're going to think, this guy's just hustling me. They don't know what they're doing. Why didn't they ask for this at the beginning? They're just trying to raise their rates on me. So if you're providing a service to someone, same as if you're working as an employee at a corporation, you need to wait to 6 months to a year. After 6 months, then that person can evaluate you best, or you can make it goal-based. So you can, if you're doing a project and you say, okay, we agree the price for this project, but then just say to them, this is an intro rate. If you're happy with the work, then at the end of the project, if you choose to re-engage me, then hopefully we can rediscuss the rates.
How do you find your raise scary number? As in the number that you don't think people might pay you, but it's your goal number.
Well, I mean, you can come up with any number, but it's got to be realistic to what you're doing. And that comes down to market research. So if you're doing some kind of online work for somebody, and you know that it pays $20 to $30 an hour, if you're really good, then you can probably get to $40, $50 an hour on that. But if you go in there asking for $100, $150 an hour, it doesn't really matter how good you are. If the market rate is 20 to 30, no one's going to pay you 5 times as much. First thing, especially when you're starting out, is go for the market rate. I mean, it's a market rate for a reason. People pay that because they're happy with it, because that's what everyone else is charging. And once you get established and once you gain a reputation for doing good work, then you can charge more than the market rate. You need to know your own business.
Hi guys, I really hope you like this format, and you know how important I think it is to be well groomed and presentable. However, I think it's also important for women to be seen without makeup in our natural state and get used to how we look and feel with ourselves. Aside from that, back to the video. There are so many more tips on how to negotiate, how to not just ask for a raise, but to work in business. And so I want to know your thoughts on what else you would like to see, because I love this kind of content where I can help you level up in your life, whether it's at your job, if you're an entrepreneur. And especially with negotiation, my personal tactic that I like to use, my strength, is negotiation when it comes to dealing with brand partnerships, when it comes to contracts, when it comes to legalese. I am not a lawyer, but a lot of people tell me I should be. So when it comes to an argument or proving your point or positioning your worth, I would love to help you as a femme founder level up. Because if you're online, if you're any human being who is breathing, you're obviously selling something. It might not be that obvious to you, but if you want someone to come visit your YouTube account, if you want someone to come visit your Instagram, if you want someone to look at your LinkedIn or your resume, or if you want to share your fashion with the world, you're selling that you're the expert on that, on what you know or what you like. And I think that's important to position yourself properly as a negotiator. So you're always selling something. You just have to find the right angle to pitch yourself. And if you guys want more, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, because I want to help you guys as much as possible with whatever I can. And if I don't know, I will get back to you. I will do the research for you, because I most likely want to know myself, and I'm constantly developing. So let me know in the comments if you like this kind of content, this kind of format. If not, tell me what you like. I love to know more. So click what do you call this one? My English today is just gone. I'm obviously in work mode, working on a huge other project that I'm so excited to show you. But don't forget to sign up for free monthly content ideas in the link in the description. Leave a comment if you have a question. Tell me, like, I wish you would wear this more. I wish you would show up like this without makeup more. I wish you would just like brush your teeth every now and again. Like, I am willing to improve with the feedback that and hear what you guys have to say. And I value you guys. You guys are my audience, and I'm glad that you're here. And thanks for being a subscriber. And if you're new, thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you later.